Hello, YouTube. This is the Gentleman Scholar. It's time for my latest book report, and it's going to be The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. Yeah, Sarah Penner. Um, yeah, this one's kind of. I saw this in Savers, and reading reading the blurb in the back had to do with it was going. It's on the verge of 18th century London having to do with a bunch of apothecary murders, which actually was a real thing back in the day, or it was more legend than fact. But there were a lot of poisoning deaths in the United Kingdom uh, throughout the 17th through late 18th centuries, and made all the more popular because a lot of common ingredients could be used to take somebody out and never be discovered in an autopsy. Even if this book had been set like 50 years later, the writer tells us she wouldn't be able to tell this story because um, poison detection had grown by leaps and bounds by that point. Maybe that explains the popularity of amateur sleuths like Sherlock Holmes and all that right around that time period. But this book begins with infidelity, marital infidelity. But it really kicks off when our main hero. And why kidding? I'm very sucky with names. Let's see. No, I don't. 10 years. Carolyn Parswell. That's it. She goes in an effort to get away from her husband. She's in London, just hanging around. It was supposed to be a honeymoon trip, and she decides to try her hand at mudlarking, which I knew what it was before the book introduced the concept to me. Mudlarking was something that was done for centuries in London. Very, very poor people will go down to the water's edge in the river and go digging for stuff within the muddy banks of the river to see if they could find stuff to sell. And these days it's more of a hobby, but you never know what you could find. And our character, Carolyn, finds a small vial with a little bear etched on it. And of course, she's a frustrated historical scholar. Uh, she took the safe job to keep her marriage going, running her father's farm accounting books, that kind of thing. But all of a sudden, this starts off a journey of discovery for her, which leads her to learn about Nella, the apothecary, in 1791. Now, this is a dual timeline story. One takes place in 1791, the other one takes place in present day, which is the publication of the book, which was 2021. Um, yeah, during the course of the book, everyone involved in the past, in the present, uh, basically changed their lives for the better. And it begins in vengeance because the lady who started this apothecary, she was betrayed by a man, and so she decided to poison him, and she also decided to open up this apothecary to basically have an option for women who were wronged by the men of society, so that if they wanted to, if they really felt like they had no other option, they could just leave a little letter in her grain barrel, uh, explain the situation, and she would prepare the appropriate poison to send him on his way. And that's how the 1791 narrative begins. Young girl named Ellie, I believe it is. Eliza. Young girl named Eliza, basically on behalf of her mistress, gets sent there to find a way to poison her master, uh, because I guess he's been basically he's just a lech. He's basically he basically screws everything in sight, and his wife found out about it. So she basically Eliza went to the apothecary, and Nella finds a way to poison his eggs, and he's taken out. And of course, Eliza is just about to start her menses at this time, so she doesn't know what it is because no one's ever told her. Um, It's a very male-dominated society, so of course she strikes up a friendship with Nella in the apothecary and wants to be her apprentice. And that's how that story starts. And then, as you can imagine, things go awry. In the present day, Carolyn's husband follows her to London and tries to repair their marriage, and through a bunch of, I don't want to say happy, they're not happy coincidences, but through a lot of circumstantial evidence, through a lot of series of circumstantial evidence, she gets accused of poisoning her husband. And that's all I'll say there. But yeah, I mean, it's a real page turner, a very well crafted story, never revealing too much as we jump back and forth between the timelines. There's even like a reader's background section at the back, topics for discussion as if you were reading it in a literature class. Some notes on mudlarking, a little bit of research on how she did the book. And yeah, it's a pretty despite the gruesome subject matter, it's a pretty uplifting book. And I got interested at the premise when I saw it at Savers, I want to say about a year ago. Got to be about a year ago. It's been sitting on my book caddy there pretty much ever since. And after Comanche Moon, I needed a matte palette cleanser, so I just dug that out and read it and finished it in 2 days. So I guess I must have enjoyed it. So yeah, check out The Lost, if that kind of thing appeals to you. The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This is the Gentleman Scholar saying good reading. Cheers.